Me personally, I think I didn't really get much of a fight with Tim, obviously, so I can't really assess his skills personally from there. But I think Linton has more to offer to that fight than Tim does. But Tim also has that size, and he has a wrestling background as well. So I kind of think that one's going to be on like who can impose their will and most likely get in the top position first.
And you've spoken how every time Coach Trevor has told you to not fight and then you go fight, you lose. What other words or instructions from your coaches have come true during your career?
Wait, say that again?
Every time Coach Trevor has told you not to take a fight and then you take it, you've lost. And so I'm curious if there's any other things that they've instructed you that you're like, that's not going to happen, and then it happens.
Well, besides that, when he tells me to pull out, I'm not. But then, like my last fight, I was the main guy trying to strike, and Linton was trying to wrestle me the whole time. And when we first started, he said, guys are wrestling you right now, but when I get you trained to where you should be, guys are going to just start wrestling you because they're not going to want to be hit by you. And I was like, no one's going to wrestle the USA wrestler. Like, I got a world title, 3 national. Like, I don't see many guys. And then we hear this guy in the interviews talking about he's going to wrestle me. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see. I mean, my back's feeling great. I'm at 100%, so we'll see what happens now.
It's Tyrell right here. Tyrell, it's very rare that we see a scenario where two fighters are booked for the same card, but then they just get shuffled around opponents. And I know that you actually went through a couple names before we got to your opponent this Friday. Can you just talk a little bit about the adjustments and just being on the inside of that situation?
To be honest, I don't know how many people they go through. I just say yes to whoever. So it really don't matter to me. Like, I don't have my management doesn't really, I just say yes. So opponents don't really matter. I focus on me getting ready for the fight. And then once that opponent does get locked in, then I do start reviewing more of their work and their previous fights and things like that. But until like the last 3 weeks of camp, I really don't pay attention to. That's not really my concern.
On that note, you were obviously scheduled originally to take Tim Johnson, which would have been a rematch. I mean, obviously it's a business, like you just said. You focus on who you do have in front of you. But was there part of you that did want that fight originally here on the 15th?
See, I never even got Tim Johnson's name. The only person I knew I was supposed to fight was Steve Mowry.
Really?
And then it fell out. So I didn't even know Tim Johnson was an option. Like I said, I tell my management, I say yes. Whoever Bellator asks me to fight, it's a yes. It doesn't matter to me.
A lot of people would think, like, how are you able to stay so chill about something like a cage fight like that and just, I guess, remove yourself from that part of it? Can you give me a little bit more about your mindset with that?
I just try to focus on what's in front of me. I mean, Bellator knows I've been very vocal about me getting my rematches. They know that's the ones, the fights that I want. But at that time still, that's not my job. I'm not the matchmaker. I'm the fighter. So I just try to worry about my job, and I got to win. Once you win, that pretty much handles all your problems. So.
It's an interesting thing. This card features several of the prospects like yourself who was picked up very early on, I believe, the beginning of your pro career. AJ McKee, obviously, Aaron Pico. And now we're seeing all of you guys, you really matured and developed here under Bellator and becoming contenders here. Can you just talk a little bit about your journey and just how you're feeling now this many years in the game and being a part of the big show and a big promotion like this?
I feel good. I feel really happy with the position I'm in right now. Honestly, I still feel really green. Every camp I go back, I feel like I'm learning more and more. I get exposed. I try to get more exposure to professional high-level boxers and kickboxers and jiu-jitsu guys. So I feel like my game is constantly growing. So it's like, I feel like I'm still kind of in my rookie season. Like MMA, we don't really have a season. It's like all year round. But 5 years in with 13 fights, I still feel like I'm pretty much a rookie, maybe kind of moving into my sophomore year a little bit, but it takes a lot. Like my last fight was the first fight where I was able to throw caution to the wind. I was like, okay, hey, I'm probably down second round. Who cares what happens? And I was able to just put that behind my head and step up and step into the danger zone and throw hands. So for me, that was to feel that comfortable with danger present was very good for me. It was very comfortable, and I used that my whole camp. My whole camp, I felt way better in the pocket and actually looking for targets and being able to see things better. So for me, it's just trying to grow and trying to develop every little skill I can to bring into the cage.
My final question, just how do you feel you match up with Rakim, and what do you expect to see from him in the cage on Friday?
I mean, if Rakim's plan is to wrestle me, I think I'm going to outclass him easily. Him having a kickboxing background, I would suspect him to kind of hold more to that. So we'll see. I mean, I think I'm going to be able to have a pretty dominant performance.
What's up, Tyrell? How you doing? As a Tempe resident myself, I got to ask you, what influence have guys like Trevor Smith, Steve Rosenberg, Kevin Quicksand had on you during your time at AZ Combat, and have you worked with them in preparation for this fight?
Oh, those are my guys. I see those guys every day. You know what I mean? So, yeah, me and Kevin, we always are trading techniques or trading perspectives and outlooks on other fighters, ourselves and stuff. And a lot of the things that, you know, I'm working on, he's working on. So we work together with that technique side of it really well. Trevor Smith, same guy. I mean, he has a lot of experience being in the UFC, coming from wrestling background as well from me. So he also helps me with like, hey man, start looking at these kind of things, and you'll be able to dominate in these positions and things like that. So it helps having his experience around. And Steve is my jiu-jitsu coach. You know, obviously I haven't dove into that world too much, but actually after this fight, I plan to have my first jiu-jitsu competition. So I'm, you know, like I just said, you know, I'm still very green. You know what I mean? I feel like there's still so much more for me to learn and develop in this sport. So those guys are the main guys helping me get there.
Are you still living in Tempe?
I live in downtown Phoenix now.
Oh, really?
I got a house in downtown Phoenix now.
Is it hard to stay out of that ASU college town scene with all the bars, varsity, and all that?
Nah. I'm not a big drinker, and I don't deal with college students very well. I'm a loner.
Yeah. And heading into that last decision in your last bout with Linton, did you feel like you had done enough to secure the victory? And how long did it take you to accept the decision and get your mind right for this bout with Rakim?
Man, that was a little tough and weird, especially with, you know, Linton is my boy. We cool, you know. I went out and I was out there in Florida training, coaching the Black Zillions when he was out there for like 3 years. So we built a good relationship. When he was fighting Bader, I went out there and helped him with his training camp. And so it's nothing personal to me. Like, I don't have no animosity about losing to him. But yeah, it was tough to take, just on the fact that I felt like, you know, if a fight is based off of who's beating up who, I did all the damage. You know, did he hold me down? Yes. Did he kind of get a little, you know, submission, a little scared? Yes. But if it came down to damage, I think I did the most. What really kind of got to me the most is then, you know, back home they had Bader fight Moldavsky, and I was like, okay, well, who's going to win this fight? And I felt like, okay, well, that was kind of the same scenario, but obviously I'm not the champ, so I can't expect that sway that way. But I feel like sometimes the judges, depending on who you have, they weigh wrestling heavy and they weigh boxing heavy. So it just kind of depends, you know. It's not really my job. I just got to do all I can to win. So
we'll take one more here. Nathan?
Okay, Tyrell, you said that your back is good right now. I take it that was a factor in your last fight. I'm sorry, I'm online.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm like, who's talking? But
I take it that your back is a factor in the last fight.
Oh, yes, it was.
Okay. Does it hurt more to lose a close decision, especially like that, knowing the different things going in, or is it more difficult when it's a decisive loss?
I would say the reason why that kind of hurts a little bit more is because my coach is telling me, hey, you know, you're not 100%, pull out. And then I keep kind of having that same wrestler mindset where it's like, hey, who's competing at 100%? You know what I mean? If you're training like you're supposed to be, I don't think anyone can come into a fight at 100%, like all the way 100, without having like anything a little bit bothering you. But I think for me, it was more or less like getting in those positions where it was like I'm looking at my coach and I'm like, dude, I can't like move. I don't have the strength to like fight him off, but just enough strength to keep him from progressing. So it was one of those situations where my coach was like, hey, are you going to listen to me now? Like, I'm telling you these things and you're having these setbacks because you're just doing what you want to do. And so I think I just reevaluated myself and I have to listen to what my coach is telling me.